Hi guys, please like, share and subscribe and contact this number if you want lectures related to any CM, CS or CB subjects. Thank you. As you mentioned that you find a lot of interviewees who don't meet up to your expectation. So what would be your advice to freshers and people who are still very new to the industry in terms of how can they make their profiles better, how can they improve their skill set, and what do you particularly look for when you are looking to hire people? So what are the skill set that you look for, and what can people really do to get there?
Okay, so this answer can be split into two parts. First of all, this is my own perspective, and no, like my company is not represented by my answer. Okay, so this is only my perspective. Like different interviewers have different perspective. What I personally believe is many actual people who are at senior designations, they don't know how to interview people. That's my personal perspective. The reason I'm saying this, like when I started out, like I for in order to get my first actual job, I had to went to 21 interviews. Like my father used to keep count. Like first interview are not selected, second interview are not selected, like that. So I went to around 10 or 12 companies interviews. Like I used to clear the first round, second round, third round, I used to get rejected. Why I'm saying that? Because when I started giving actual interviews or take right going for actual interviews, I had only two papers at that point of time. I'm talking about 2014, CT3 and CT6. These are the two papers I have cleared. And I went there, and a person asked me, "So, what is the formula for prospectivism?" So in CT6, you'll never find a formula for prospectivism. There is
Correct.
probably
That's a
one line.
CT5 concept.
Yeah, that's a certified concept. So I have written it clearly in my CV that I have not cleared CT5, right? CT1 and CT6. Even that was not in my paper that I was going to attempt. People ask me what is NPP, what is IRR. Now I knew that because I had an MBA background. I had done finance MBA, so that's why I knew that. I had not studied CT1, but people expect that I would be knowing that, right? But so they would never ask me question on what I should have skill set, right? I can ask you something, Romit, that you have no idea about, right? And I can make you feel very dumb that you don't know this, but that is not the real way of judging you. I should be judging you on the things that
Right.
you know. So I think the first of all, most of the industry people, they probably need a crash course on interviewing people, you know. So so that's why many times we see that people who are very talented, they are not getting placed. They're getting rejected. They also
Sure.
get demolished because of that. Second thing that I would like to, this is for the candidates, right? So as an industry, somewhere we probably need to probably pull up our socks and you know be a person who would be able to judge a person only on those things that person represents, and not on those things that person is yet to learn, right? So we can't judge a person on we can obviously determine the potential, like for example how that person has grown over the years. So we can probably do a regression kind of thing and say that this person has grown
Sure.
this much in this year, so this person is expected to grow this much. But we can't judge a person if someone has not worked on VNB. I can't ask a VNB question to that person. Now for the candidates, I find many candidates writing or lying on their CV, or probably putting something which he or she is not comfortable or does, or probably has worked on a very limited amount of detail. So those would be caught because the person who is interviewing you is obviously been there, done that, right? And if you are putting something which is, for example, this Excel thing that I mentioned, Excel VBA, basic level of Excel
Right.
and VBA. So when you are putting something in your CV, you need to be ascertain that you are very good in that. You know in and out of that thing, right? Otherwise, don't put it and that put that in your CV just to match up to your peer. Like my friend is writing Excel VBA, I should also write Excel VBA, although my Excel VBA level is nothing.
Right.
So that is one of the blunder that people do. So I personally never put things in my CV that have not worked. I like my CV to be, so even if I don't can't cover say 20 areas that job. So people are so focused on this job description, and they ask me, so your job description says this. should I put this in my CV and then prepare for me from the internet so that I can get hired? So I think that's a blunder that you are doing, because for example, if I am interviewing you and if you are moving into my strong domain, right? For example, I might have very good knowledge in IFRS 17. You might not have. You might have very limited knowledge. If I pull you into my domain, you are going to get like you probably have a lot of difficulty in answering those questions. So I
Sure.
think an interview should write those things in their CV that they are comfortable with. Should not care about whether I'll be getting selected on this limited experience. And those things that they are writing, they should know in and out of this, so that no matter how deep an interviewer goes into that, that person will be able to answer that very clearly.
Right.
At the same time, they can build knowledge about something that they have not worked on, and when they can put that in the CV with the caveat, like they should mention that beforehand, that I have not, in the CV it should be mentioned that I have not worked on this, but I have read through net and or internet or some other journal or some attended some seminar, and I have some knowledge about this. So the interviewer will also ask question about that basic kind of structure. But
Right.
what I have seen, that people get false impression. For example, IFRS 17, people get false impression that they have worked on it, but they have not actually worked on it. So they have worked to a very limited detail. And when
Sure.
we what we are seeing that, okay, this person has worked in IFRS 17, so this person will be given preference over others because we are working on that domain. Then we ask some question and that person will not be able to answer. Then whatever good thing that person has done, that also get compromised, because we are not able to trust that person, because that person has lied in one part. So I think that is one thing. Limited, experience, but be good in that limited experience.
Do you feel that interviewers have a systematic bias against certain things on the CV? For example, as you said, that in your past experience, you have seen that pension people perform relatively worse as compared to other candidates. Or let's say, I have seen a lot of times interviewers reach out to me and they would say that, give us candidates who have a master's or a bachelor's in mathematics or statistics, and they would say, strictly no commerce candidates and things like that. So do you think people have systematic biases, and do you think that is problematic, or like that's reasonable?
Yeah, so I think people have biases, right? And as I mentioned, that this is my own perspective, that most of the industry seniors probably don't know how to interview people. So that this is one of the things that needs to go away. A person should be judged on their actuarial skills, not whether they have graduated from commerce or maths, right? And I can personally tell you that many of my friends who have graduated from maths have forgotten maths. So it's
Right.
not that people who have graduated maths are good in maths. Is the current form or the current knowledge level that matters. And I think it's detrimental to the industry. It's hurting it, and people should go away from this kind of trend. And you also asked whether there is a bias. For example, that pension, you do get that bias. After if you see that 99% people are not able to tell, right? You do have that bias. I can give you one specific example. Like, there was one candidate who's currently part of SunLife. She would be probably laughing at this point of time if she is seeing this. So she rescheduled her interview multiple times, right? So
Okay.
a couple, I think 4 and 5 times, and I thought that it was very unprofessional of her. One time we can understand something might come up, but 4 5 times doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
So she was referred by someone from the team, and I
Right.
specifically told the person, what kind of unprofessional behavior is this? This person is repeatedly rescheduling. Is our time of no value?
Hmm.
So when the interview came, so I specifically asked my manager that I don't think I should be going there for the interview, because I
Hmm.
am quite biased for that person. I might end up rejecting that person, although that person might be good. So I had that self-awareness that I might end up doing that. So
Hmm.
someone else would be taking that interview. So I specifically raised that. However, there was no one else available to interview her. I went there with the
And you ended up
you know
selecting her.
and she was so good that I ended up selecting her. So I
Right.
think it also depends on the person or the interviewer. If that I was kind of mentioning before we are having this discussion, that how can that person accept his or her mistake. So I
Hmm.
was able to accept my mistake, that I was not right in forming a bias about that person, because that person, I obviously asked this question to that person, why you have rescheduled 5 times, and he was able to, or she was able to give reply that was convincing, right?
Hmm.
So I understood that this is the point, and I should not have judged her on that part. And when I was able to
Right.
accept that I was at a mistake judging her, so then I that point went out. But I feel that if someone else would be in that position, that person might be biased and she might get rejected. So that bias do exist.
So do referrals help a lot with these interviews? Since you mentioned a referral, and I have always seen in the industry that a lot of people only get hired or get an interview call at least because of referrals.
You know,
And
I
why
so
does
I
it matter so much to, I
so
mean, employers?
so I'd like to be honest that referrals do matter, right? But I would like to live in an environment or in an industry where referrals should not matter at all. But so we, like, I personally don't want to do that. And Mostly I have seen, like, for example, I know you, so I can refer you. Right? I have some idea about how you work and how you do, what is your mindset. But most of the time, people come to me like, and mostly it doesn't make any sense to refer when there is an advertisement that has been posted, right? For example, if someone from my team,
Hmm.
say a Hemant or a Baljinder, this person has put a link, or put a
Hmm.
advertisement that send your CV to me, and I have seen people reaching out to me saying that, okay, this person is above those person, so if this person is referred, my CV would be like more, have more chance of getting selected, and that is ridiculous,
So
right? I am not doing.
I
Yeah.
would still
Oh,
understand, that
yeah.
referrals would help in cases where people have worked with those people, right? But then you
Right.
would see absolutely new freshers who don't
Yeah.
even know these people, just contacting
Right.
via LinkedIn, just getting in
Yeah.
touch, getting referred, and just getting an
Yeah.
interview preference over other people. I mean,
Right.
I
Right.
have
So
never understood that why that should work.
I don't I agree. I 100% agree with that should not be the case. And so people should approach someone. Some of the Sometimes some of the vacancies are not published, especially in core sector.
Right.
Those are not published. They are trying to fill it internally. So then people who, so for example, if I know some person, like, I sometimes get requests from my friends who are working in those sectors, like, can
Right.
you refer some person to me, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes this kind of request come, and then we try to help each other. But that's where, if you approach someone through LinkedIn, right, not for referral, but just to know if there is a vacancy which is not publicized, then it might help in that regard, because you get to know, you get some first mover advantage.
Right.
But I personally can't refer a person saying that this person is very good, very genius, and etc., if I have not worked with that person,
Right. Right.
right? and
Sure.
and for a fresher level, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And obviously your CV would be shortlisted by 4 5 people. It's not that I am all powerful, I'm going to shortlist your CV. Even if I am referred, so I have,
Right.
in the past I have referred many candidates, and it has been rejected by my manager, like, this
Yeah.
person is not good enough, right? So
Right.
referral doesn't matter. Referral should not matter, and ideally, I think all of us should kind of take a place that referral should not matter. It should not be based on how well I know you. It should not be based on connection. Then that's the political framework comes up. You will only get oxygen if you know someone related to Modi ji.
True.
So I don't think
Right.
that should matter in a corporate setup. Everyone should get fair chance,
Right.
and
Sure.
those who are kind of freshers, who are kind of falling into this culture, is kind of digging their own grave by doing that. Like if they are asking me to refer, they are kind of building that culture instead of eliminating that.
Sure. Right. So, just a couple of light questions then. Do you invest? How do you manage your investments? Because
So
you're an
I trade.
actuary, so almost a fellow.
Yeah.
So
So
how does someone like you do it?
yeah. So I think I trade regularly in stock market.
Okay.
So I have read this book, Think and Grow Rich. So I've read a lot of books after. So when I was kind of studying, actually, I didn't have actuary and software. You should take a lot of my time. Now when I am in the, like, closing end of actuary, so right now I don't have to prepare much. In fact, the
Hmm.
essay to paper that I'm writing, so I'm writing this for the second time, and that's I've read it once, right?
Right.
So this is the time I can manage without, like, with
What are you
less
reading
reading
right
time.
now?
So right now I'm reading a stock market book. It's called Trading Option Greeks. right?
Okay.
So I'm also preparing for FRM level 1 exam, which
Okay.
is once again related to stock market. So
Right.
yeah, so I have read a lot of psychology related books from December. So I started
Right.
my investment or trading from December after I saw Scam 1992.
A
It's
lot that inspired a lot of people, apparently. Someone
yeah,
is
that
committing a scam, and
yeah.
then you are inspired to, be like him, or maybe just get into the markets.
So as I mentioned that I was doing NCFM certification before I was
Hmm.
kind of convinced whether I should be doing actually or not, right? So
Right.
NCFM certification was NSE, National
Hmm.
Stock Exchange certification.
Right.
So I was interested there, but then actually took over. It was
Yeah.
something that I got more interested in.
Yeah.
Now, since I am at the end, so I kind of rejuvenated those feelings that I had. Scam 92 kind of kicked it for me, and then I
Right.
thought that let me start doing this, and right now I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm in loss right now, but I am learning
Hmm.
things so that I can
So,
I do intraday option trading, which is regarded as the most difficult part, right? And
right.
because my currently my office time is from 9 to 9 because I work in Hong Kong shift, and it never ends at 6, although it's supposed to end at 6. So right now I face bit of difficulty. When I started, it was like my office time was in the afternoon session, but right now it's 9 to 9. So I face bit of difficulty, but I am working on it, and I believe and that is Think and Grow Rich. The reason I mentioned that book is that mentioned that a millionaire should have at least 6 sources of income. A billionaire should have at least 9 sources of income. That is the number of zeros they have in their in the million or billion.
Right.
So that has been mentioned there. So obviously I love my job, and I am in my dream profile. Actually has been that. So I enjoy working hard, and my body gets tired, but my mind still is so passionate about this.
Right.
But I am also trying to create other sources of income, so that I can reach that 1 crore package mark quickly, right?
Right.
And eventually it all boil, like for example stock market and everything else. It all boils down to risk management, which we are kind of learning.
Right.
So actually promises you 1 crore package that you can get because you are learning risk management. Stock market is all about risk management,
Sure.
which I have learned, and the losses that I've made is because I was not able to manage my risk. So I do invest heavily, and not invest, I trade. Basically I trade heavily, and I trade in option and future because everyone else say it is very difficult. So
Right.
I think that it's challenging, and I'll gain expertise in that and create a new
Since
source of
you
income.
since we are talking about investments, how do you see actuaries working in finance in India, particularly, let's say, in option pricing or areas like investments?
Yeah, so I recently shared a LinkedIn post on kind of similar topic. That so I have This is once again, this is my own perspective, and I believe that actuaries are known for insurance, and
Right.
given that opportunity, I think actually should work in insurance only because that person would be getting the salary, the level, the respect, the prestige in insurance domain only. For other sector, for example, the stock market, like I was mentioning. So I'm working in life insurance. I have solid knowledge about stock market at this point of time. That's because I am investing heavily. I don't work for anyone else. I work for myself
Right.
in that
Sure.
part. So I think you should be working in as an actuary should be working in only in insurance sector. And for the other things that you can learn, you can build, and for those you should work for yourself only. Like if you
Right.
want to work for a data science kind of role, which is kind of similar to us, right? So you should work for something related to, you should create your own venture or something like that. You can invest in stock market on your own, but as far as the actuary profession is concerned, I think the best the cream of actually lies in insurance sector,
That's
and that's where you
that,
should be.
let me get some perspective there. So that's probably because of the way the industry stands in India right now, right? Because if you would see
No,
the markets in
I,
UK, there are a lot of
yeah,
people doing full-time quantitative finance, that is asset pricing. There are a lot of people doing ALM, and they're doing it full time. So those are hardcore finance profiles, and actuaries are working there. They have a specialization in the finance paper, ST5, ST6, and then further SA6, and they're doing that.
Yeah, so Ramit, my perspective on this is, so you can do that without doing an actuary specialization. You
Right.
can do a
Sure.
CFA, you can do a CA, or CA plus CFA and do that. There is no need for you to do an actuary. So if
Right.
you are doing something which is actually, it should be working in insurance. However, if you are interested in that domain, right? If you are interested to work in that domain for someone else, I think there are other certification. For example, FRM is a very good certification, which is kind of very close to that domain, right? So I think even in actuarial field, like the closer thing would be asset liability management, which is kind of managed by the investment team, and actuaries help them. Right? The discount rate are kind of developed by the investment team, right? And actuaries have some say in that, but they are the owners as compared to a reserve where actuaries are the owners. Right. So
Right.
I thoroughly believe that if you are working in a different domain, it should not be studying actually. You can study in that domain and be a master in that domain. Like you can do
Sure.
number of certification in that domain instead of doing it in actually. And I know there will be people who would probably have a counter view
Of
to this.
course. I would be one of
But
those. So because
yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. So the
Yeah.
reason is that when you look at CFA or FRM, they are thoroughly disjoint as compared to what we can probably study in terms of SP5 and SP6. Particularly if you look at SP6, it has a lot of quantitative finance there, right? So
Mhm,
that is
mhm,
primarily asset pricing, option pricing models, right?
mhm,
So those are not covered by courses like FRM and CFA. FRM mostly has to do with financial risk. It's a very small, brief course which particularly covers financial risk, and CFA only covers investments, right?
right.
So I
Right.
think the kind of knowledge that these finance papers have to offer are a bit different. But sure, I mean, you also make sense that we have a certain core competence, and why not just stick to that, right? Sure. So that is okay. Yeah, I think I'm out of questions now. So I mean,
Oh,
you
finally.
can yeah, you can just say something that you want to, maybe just give a piece of advice to young actuarial aspirants. So what would be your one advice to them?
I think I am pretty young myself.
Right, right. The
Okay,
ones who
but
are 10 years younger than you, and
yeah, yeah. The
5
ones who
years
have
younger
less
than me.
white hairs than I do. The ones who have less white hairs than I do, right?
Right.
Yes. So yeah, I think just keep a mindset. Like when I started, actually, I felt that I had a lot of difficulties initially. I had met people who are very arrogant. I have met people who are helpful, and all those would be part and parcel of the job. I have met people who have told me on my face in an interview that you are not good enough. I've met people who had told me that yeah, you are very good on this part. So I think all this will be part of your life, and you will receive positive comments, negative comments, and we had, like, I have personally, I feel that people had a thing about constructive feedback. Like people say that your feedback should be constructive. I don't believe in that. I think the best feedback that has been given to me is very destructive, but I was able to take the constructive part out of it. So I think you should be mature enough to do that. Right? Nobody has the time to give you constructive feedback and give it to you. Like very few people will be doing that unless that
Right.
person
Sure.
is your direct manager. So people will give you destructive feedback. You have to kind of understand, so, and change your mindset, especially for the fresher. You are not a charity case. Once and once again, I'm going to repeat that. uh, Go to a company that respect you. Take a profile that will help you in the future. Don't be desperate. Once you believe that you are a charity case, you will be desperate. Then you will put up things in LinkedIn, something like, on a 20, I am actually at 23 years old, or I have scored 95 in this paper, and I was hoping for 99. Right? So this doesn't make sense. Nobody will hire you because of that, because those are immaturity. People will reject you because of that, right? Because it doesn't make sense if you are becoming an actuary when you are 23-year old. It doesn't make sense if you are becoming actually a 43-year-old. It's what you are doing. It's what your level of knowledge at that point of time is, that That's what matters, right? It doesn't make sense if you have 95. Anybody can score a 95 in a paper if that person is doing only that thing. Uh,
Right.
so so that's why this thing doesn't make sense. Don't follow the trend, right?
Hmm.
Don't have the herd mentality. Don't be a charity case. Try to stand apart from the crowd. Like if 10 people are sitting in a room and you are also sitting in a room, from your conversation, from the way you speak, from your maturity level, one should able to clearly distinguish and remember that person, like, oh, this person I remember. And I think that you can develop probably if you have your own thought process, instead
Sure.
of like I see mostly people from Delhi, they uh, especially from the north of India, they have very high bias about what their mom uh, or their dad, they tell them to do, right? So
Sure.
I think you need to have their own thought process. And also for the parents, that uh, you probably would be more happier when your child is going to take their own decision, and probably you are taking a decision and you are thinking that your child is mature enough to ask some help from your child to enable you to make that decision. That level of independence or that level of maturity should be there. And for that, stop spoon feeding them. Let them take their own decision. Let them make their mistakes. Let them lose 2 lakhs in stock market so that they can make 20 lakhs later.
Right.
So yeah, I think yeah, that's pretty much it. Change your mindset. Be the one who is not part of the herd, even if you lose in the short term. I think if you have that mindset, if you want to do something, you'll eventually get there. Because an average person like me has probably done something, and it's closer to closer to the end of actuarial journey. So I think not only in terms of papers though, not in terms of learning, but so I think that I have seen many freshers who are 10 times more talented than I am, and 10 times have better communication skill than I do, and they are kind of stuck in the herd mentality, sharing numbers, sharing everything else, and doing everything they should not be doing, right? So I think, yeah, change your herd mentality, change your mindset, uh, make your own decision, and yeah, and improve the world, so that the world that you are getting in and the world that you are living would be a better one.
Right. Right. Yeah. So thank you, Arpan. This, I think, has been a great session for me, and the viewers will also learn a lot from whatever you have shared. And thank you for being very candid and open about what you feel. I mean, I couldn't sense any diplomacy for your side, so that was just great. That's what I could just expect, for the first episode. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been great. Do,
I'm
do you
looking
still
forward to.
yeah, I had a question about something you mentioned in the very beginning. Do you still believe in astrology?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Someone told me, actually the reason I wanted to, when I was born, someone told me that my horoscope is horrible and I would be a complete failure.
Right.
So then I was for a long period of time, but then
But you
something
proved them
changed,
wrong.
and yeah, and then the same person told that there was a snake in my horoscope. Basically, I don't. There is some term for that. I am not remembering that term.
Right.
So they told that people with this kind of snake in their horoscope, they either make it very big or make it very small. Now that same person told me that I would dominate the world for 20 years, and that domination has started from 2018. So I was like when I was intrigued in the astrology, that was I think 2010, 11. I was trying to figure out whether this when this domination would start, and
Yeah.
so
I,
then
I will
2018
definitely
has
vote
passed.
for you when you fight the election of the president of the United States of America.
Let me first
Anyway.
become the president of IAI.
Right, right. Oh, sure. I'll be waiting for that. I personally feel that IA needs, some precedents who actually try and fix the problems that exist with the
Yes.
institute.
So just to cut the thing short, because for last 2 years I have not dominated the world. 2018 has already passed, then 19 has passed, and then coronavirus is dominating the world instead of me. So I stopped believing in astrology completely.
Right, right. All right, Arpan. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time. And yeah, all the best for your last paper and the road ahead.
Yeah. In any case, I'll even if I fail, I'll get to learn something. So no problem.
Right.
Keep on giving the paper. Okay,
Sure.
it's a pleasure speaking to you. I hope uh, people would be able to learn something from this,
Right.
and I will also look forward to your future recording. So I also get to learn something from them, from you, and yeah, and hopefully I was, as you mentioned, I was as candid as I could be, right? I don't mean to like hurt anyone intentionally or unintentionally. It's just that that's how I am. Try to be as honest as possible with a bit of diplomacy, because you can't be honest every time, as I mentioned.
Right. Okay.
Right. So, but here I didn't try to be diplomatic. I thought this is the time where I need to be honest, so that people will not make a wrong decision. Hopefully, based on this. So I hope that I was able to, if I can change one or two life based on this part, then I think I have done a fair bit. The last 1.5 hours has been spent well.
Okay. Thank you.